Dear friends, today is a bank holiday. Today is a Friday. Normally it's the first Monday in May that is the bank holiday, but it has been moved to today to mark the 75th anniversary of VE Day, Victory in Europe. On the 8th of May 1945, Winston Churchill addressed the nation at 3 p.m. and announced that the war in Europe had come to an end. In his speech, he uttered these words: "We may allow ourselves a brief period of rejoicing, but let us not forget for a moment the toils and efforts that lie ahead." A couple of months ago, I would have said that it would be hard for me to truly imagine that feeling of hearing after 6 long years that war was over. However, after these last 6 weeks of lockdown, I may begin to grasp what it must have felt like to hear that the conflict was at an end and there was a promise of a return to normality. I'm not sure what I would have made of the Prime Minister's warning that there were still toils and efforts ahead. I do not want to suggest that the last 6 weeks in any way come close to the hardship and the sacrifice that people had to endure during the war. Yet for many of us, this is the first time that we have experienced restrictions to our freedom, shortages at the supermarket, and a collective national effort to overcome a common enemy. This weekend, people are trying to guess if the current Prime Minister will relax any of the restrictions as we long for a return to the freedoms we took for granted and a promise of getting back to normal. But now I hear people talking about a new normal. People wondering what that new normal may be like. Do we have hopes and dreams for a different kind of normality after lockdown is over? What are our hopes and dreams for our church, our community, our own lifestyles? What have we missed since our church buildings have closed? What are we doing now as God's people that we should have been doing before? Central to our faith is the death and resurrection of Christ. And in that is the proof that when God says, "Behold, I make all things new," God can, will, and in fact does make all things new. Yet, let's not labour under the misapprehension that new life just somehow suddenly appears. It is a choice that we make. When we choose to follow Christ, we choose new life. When we open up our lives to the leading of God's Spirit, we choose to open ourselves up to a constant renewal. As Christians, God challenges us to leave behind the old and travel to the new, not just once, but as a way of life. If we choose new life, toils and efforts lie ahead, because we have to play our part in creating the newness. We may say we want new life for the climate, and God will challenge us. Challenge us to change our behaviour so that creation can be renewed. We may say we want new life in our communities, and God will challenge us to work in different ways with those people we serve. We may say we want new life in our churches. And God will challenge us to think differently about our worship, our activities, our buildings, our purpose. And God will challenge us to be open to new ways in every aspect of our life together as a community of Christians. God is offering us a real chance to share new life together when we reach the other side of lockdown. Yet this new life will not happen unless we choose it, unless we toil and put in effort with God's Spirit to leave behind what we have been in favour of becoming what God wants us to be. Amen.